A lot of these wars used to just kick off over. This guy says something, he looked at me funny. Guys are killing themselves, man, not realizing that they're putting everybody's lives over somebody looked at you funny. It was crazy.
Welcome, everybody, to the Warrior Podcast. Today I have a special guest. His name is Ulises Arroyo. He is the owner of JFix Property Solutions. He's had a super interesting ride in his life from, growing up in the city, street gangs, jail time, and all the difficulties associated with the comeback. And he is definitely on a comeback, and he's going to tell a story today. So welcome, my friend.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. We had a really nice discussion. Bro, 47 years old. You've lived like 3 full lifetimes already. You know what I mean? Holy shit. So let's start at the beginning, where you grew up when you were a kid and stuff like that.
So I grew up in Chicago. I was born and raised in Chicago.
Which neighborhood?
It's called the Belmont and Cragen area.
Okay.
We started off in Humboldt Park. I was born in the Region Hospital. Humboldt Park, of course, everybody knows. Little Puerto Rico in Chicago.
Did you know that I spent the first third of my life in Humboldt Park? I grew up right on Kenzie Division. Our picture window was Humboldt Park. I played in that park and got mugged in that park.
So you know a lot about that park. I think you know more than me, to be honest.
Well, it was a little rougher when you were going through it than me. So
yeah, but I was still a baby, right? Then later on, my mom moved out more west from Humboldt Park, which will be considered Belmont and Cragen or Logan Square, by Costner and Fullerton up that way.
Yeah, I don't know how the neighborhoods go anymore. I'm a realtor too, but they've broken them out into so many neighborhoods. Yeah.
And then we made it all the way out to Belmont and Cragen neighborhood. And
Any brothers, sisters?
2 brothers and a half sister on my dad's side.
Okay. Where are you in the birth order?
The oldest. Yeah, the alpha child.
So tell me, I want to transition through like you're growing up, but at the beginning, early part of your life, normal life, go to school.
Yeah. Both my parents were together.
Did they both work?
Yes, they did both work.
What did they do?
My mom worked for a receptionist. As a receptionist for a doctor's office, and my dad just did, factory work, machine operator, stuff like that.
Did your parents have faith? Did they instill any kind of religion in you?
My dad more. My mom, a little bit. We did our first communion.
So Catholic then?
Catholic, correct. Our family are really more Catholic than anything. We lived in my grandma's home, my mom's mom, and we had our own place on the 2nd floor. And for the most part, our grandma's been in our lives since we were born.
Mm-hmm. That's a blessing, by the way, because to have grandparents in your life.
Yeah,
I was mostly raised by my grandparents when I was young, and they were a lifesaver for me.
Yeah, so. They are. And to me, my grandma was a saint. She wanted what's best for us. And she was the one that, really, really instilled like church and used to take us to church and all that stuff on Sundays and make sure we completed our communions and all that stuff.
So then it sounds like you had a pretty normal beginning. Where did the crossover come into like street gang life? How did that happen?
My mom and my dad, they separated and got to the point where we were becoming teenagers, and my mom working full time. Was having a father not around played a big part there.
They say that a lot of the problems, in our society, most of the people who go into prison, for instance, they didn't have a male figure involved, fatherless home, etc. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, pretty much. We had father figure, but he's kind of like me, right? Anytime I meet a woman and they have kids, I respect boundaries here,
Hmm.
and he respected that boundary because we were already teenagers. We were already involved in gangs and stuff like that. And I love him dearly. Although when I got home, my mom and my stepfather, parted ways. I still love that guy because he put up with a lot with us.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, since I've been home, he disappeared. He moved on and stuff like that. I try to reach out, try to find him, but it's hard to find him. But that guy, solid,
Cool.
solid, solid.
Hopefully, he'll see this and he'll see what you said about him.
Yeah,
So,
Audi, love you, man. You know.
so how do we get into street gangs now? You're a teenager. Teenager, yes.
Yeah, teenager.
Were people telling you like it's glamorous? Like were people like?
Yeah, of course. Everybody, hey, join this, man. Why not? We got your backs and this, that, and the other, and
They kind of tell you like you'd be part of something, right?
part of something, family, love. All lies, man. All lies. But yeah, now we were peer pressured.
Mm-hmm.
Peer pressure played a big part. And I kind of tricked my buddy, like, if my buddy turns out, then I'll turn out, right? And I had one of my closest friends. And we made him believe that I got involved. And he was like, all right, well, you got involved, and I'm about to get involved. And so when he got his violations in, which is a good beat up, then we had to break the news, tell him, hey, I'm not I'm not a part of this, right? So I had to give my back against the wall and take it like a man.
So when you joined, they give you a beat down, right?
A beat down, yeah. They give you a beat down. Luckily, we didn't. It wasn't head to toe. It was more like just body blows, but we had to accept it.
And why do they do that? Just because they want to test you?
They want to test how, if you can handle that type of stuff. Because a lot of guys, they can't handle that type of stuff, and immediately you do something wrong, you just take off.
And then that guy's not made for this.
Exactly. Luckily, I guess I took a good beating and handled it well, and here I am now, full-time gangbanger.
Yeah. So then, what did you stay in school or no?
At that point, I wasn't in school anymore. I had dropped out. I dropped out early, freshman.
So what are you doing every day now? You just making trouble?
Well, it wasn't trouble. It was just more just being goofies, just because my mom had a pool, right? And we lived right on Austin Avenue. My mom had a big pool in the backyard. And so we all used to just hang out back there, man, throughout the whole park. Before we got into gangs, we used to always be at the park, right? It got to the point where cops didn't even want us around there no more. They didn't even care if you were in gangs or not. They just assumed that you were involved, right? And they just kept pushing us out of the parks and pushing us more into the streets, and that's where we were getting in trouble, man, in the streets. My mom had this pool, and we also used to just all be throughout right there because I lived right on the corner, right, of Austin and Nargill. And it was like a pool party every single day. Neighbors hated it. People just assumed, because it was just a bunch of guys, right? A bunch of kids having fun, boy, girls, whatever, right? And it was like a pool party almost every single day, just having fun, playing basketball, whatever. Now, you got the elders in the gangs, right, that, used to hang out with us as well. And cops used to come through and see the elders and like that, around the youth.
How old would the elders be compared to you guys? 5 years older, 10 years older?
Yeah, even bigger than that.
Oh, yeah.
And you got guys from other neighborhoods just showing up right there where I live at. Cops know. Cops already know that something ain't right around here. And what they're seeing is just gangs and moving in that direction. We did a lot of that, partying, getting caught by our parents in these homes and stuff like that, to the point where the only place we can hang out at is on the block. And that's that. And on the block, you got different people that want to take over blocks. And once they, the rivals know where you hang out at, they want to test the waters and come shoot, whatever. Just normal gang stuff, annoying stuff.
Mhm.
Now, I was always one of those type of guys that the violence wasn't for me, right? Um, the way I am now is the way I always been. You know, I have respect. I wasn't one of those hotheads that thought I was big and bad. At one point, you have to flex, right? And show them that, hey, man, although I have this little smile, man, it could turn into a frown real quick. And I could show a different side. But for the most part, this is who I was. Regardless of who we used to be in war with, I always had great relationships with everybody, and just unfortunately that others are influenced differently and they didn't care how great of a relationship you had with that individual, they're turning on you. That's just part of the street life. It's them against you, you against them.
There's obviously a lot of movies and documentaries on this. You guys hung out and stuff like that. Did you, I mean, when you were kids, did you rob stuff, steal stuff?
Yeah, well,
I mean, how did you get your-
that wasn't allowed in the neighborhood, burglarizing, and
Mhm.
because it just brought different type of heat in the neighborhood.
I didn't mean like houses. I meant like, stores and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe early on we used to just, snicker.
Yeah.
I remember one time for picture day, and I think that was the last time I stole something from a store. Right, easily. It was a picture day, and we just wanted a T-shirt, to look good. And as we're ready to get out the store, my buddy gets nabbed by the security. I turn around like, hey man, I went to turn around and tell him, hey man, we got away. He's already getting sent to the back. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, that was it.
So for the gang life then for you is mostly just hanging out, right? And but you did tell a story about a car accident and a chase. You want to talk about that one or no?
So I was in a serious car accident. It started off with just joyriding, right? We were gonna hang out. We were gonna find a nice little spot so we could just hang out and drink, and it was 3 guys, 3 girls. We were just gonna smoke, have a little session because we used to do that, right? We couldn't smoke in people's homes. Yes, we were underage, and so none of that was allowed in our homes, in that area at least. And so we would find little spots where, okay, low key, let's go smoke, let's go drink, and that's that. Well, this ride to find a nice little chill spot, we ended up in the wrong neighborhood, and there was some friction between gangs with some of the people that I was with and them. And they recognized somebody in the vehicle, and next thing you know, they're just shooting at us.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and we take off, right, flying. Next block, there's a cop. They heard the shots. They start chasing us. They think we're the ones shooting, right? We did a drive-by. The driver, he was fighting attempt murder at that time. And when we got into the accident, well, he wasn't stopping. Plain and simple, right?
That was your high-speed chase then.
It turned into a high-speed chase, a crazy one. Probably lasted not even a minute to 2, right? Because we did like a few turns and flying down these narrow roads, and that was that. I'm holding on to the passenger side, a chair. I'm on the middle row of an Astrovan. And all I remember was waking up halfway out the windshield at first. Like,
so you hit something and come to a dead stop, right?
Yeah, dead stop. And I wake up. I'm thinking it's a dream, right? I got the engine just smashed up. There's a tree in front of me. Cars are, bashed. And there's smoke, right? The car was still on. And I'm like, man, this feels like a dream. And somehow or another, I was wondering, like, why am I stuck? And it was my shoelace. stuck to something. So I was able to use my other feet to take that shoe off and then crawl myself out. I crawled out. I see all the people that were in the car with me on the ground, and the officer, like had him on the ground. And the moment he seen me, oh man, forget about it. Freeze! I just took off. I wasn't stopping. I jumped a big fence, probably the height, and I don't even know how I did it. I just and jumped over. The only thing I that was on my mind that day was what happened to Rodney King, right? The tunnel vision and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, these guys are gonna kill me. So I just took off. I wasn't stopping. Luckily, I went into this bar. The guy, I went in there all bloody. The guy's, what the heck? And all the people in the bar like, who is this guy? And my face is just gushing, nonstop. I told him, don't call the cop, please. Don't call the cops. Do me that favor. Just call my mom or whatever. The guy's like, go into the washroom. So I went to the washroom. The guy comes in, give me a phone number. So he gives me a phone number. I mean, I give him a phone number, and he calls my mom. And my mom came and picked me up, took me home. I, sneak into the car. Took me home. I went home, tried to, clean up my face, but it was just bad. To the point where I had to go to the hospital. Well, me being young, dumb, I go to the nearest hospital. And of course, they knew somebody was going to report that. I'm getting stitched up. I'm telling the doctors, oh, yeah, because everybody's asking me, what happened to you, man? Well, why is your face so bashed up? And why you got all this glass? Because I had all the windshield glass like jammed in there. And I made up a crazy story. Oh, yeah, man, I was walking back from the mall and these guys jumped down and were just bashing my face with bottles, right? And they're, yeah, sure. And so they're taking all this glass out my face and cleaning my face up, stitching me up, all the way to the end when it came to, almost going home, right? After they were done up. And they wanted me to get x-rayed to see if I had a concussion or anything like that. But I was so nervous. I was like, no, I think I'm fine. No. You got to get this done, But the whole time cops are already on their way. So I went and got x-ray done. When I got out, there goes the cops waiting for me. Come on, Yuli. They used to call me Yuli. And I'm like, for what? I'm the victim here, right? Because, I made up that story like, hey, I got jumped by some guys, whatever. They're like, no, you were in that car accident. I'm like, no, I wasn't. At that time, I was a juvenile, right? And my mom was there waiting for me in the hospital, like, well, my son didn't do nothing. My mom always swore up and down I was a saint, right? I was a mama's boy. And the cops were like, no, don't worry about it. We got the driver. We're just going to arrest him for trespass, right? Which is a slap in the hand, and we'll release him to you. And that's exactly what happened. Well,
that was a break, though, right? Because you were in a chase and stuff, so they could make it worse.
Yeah. Remember, there was gunshots, right? And so the cops thought that I had a weapon, and I got away from them. So they can't believe that I got away from them, especially the guy that they probably thought I was dead, And that cop there, oh my God, when I got to the police station and he finally got to see who it was, this guy wanted to just kill me right there at the station.
Was he one of the cops that was on the scene that you ran away from?
Yeah.
They don't like that, do
they? Dude, man, that guy, there was a few officers that had to hold him. Like, hey, dude, you can't do this. His parents are right there just waiting for him. You can't do this to him right now. And, I'm already all beat up. It just would have been bad. And so the guy was like, anytime I see you, I swear to God, I'm going to lock you up. I don't give a crap, I'm going to lock you up. And yeah, he was one of those guys. And they were all friends. Hey, anytime you see this guy, lock him up. And that was my story. Got to the point where I was like, man, Mom, please get me out of here. I can't even step outside. I've been locked up even in the park. They would come. Some of them would be like, you know what? I don't want to write no paperwork, but they'll just drop me off in front of my house. Tell my mom, you have them in the park, I'm going to lock them up. And my mom's like, but that's the park. This, we're taxpayers with this.
Right.
This is where they live at, where you want them to hang out at, Doesn't matter. We don't want them at the park. And, I'd still take my butt out there to the park and they're arresting me, in front of my mom. In front of my mom. They didn't care. They didn't care.
So we talked about this already, and I'm a big proponent of police. I support police, and they got a shitty job. Let's put it that way. But I think, and tell me if you agree with this or not, they see the worst of mankind every day, and a lot of times it's like PTSD. They get so cynical about all the crime that they see that sometimes they can do things that are not necessarily fair. So this cop he was pissed at you, and now you spit on the sidewalk. They're harassing you, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah. As soon as I turned 17, you're old enough now to go to Cook County, and ain't no juvenile, ain't no parents coming to get you out, right? Now you have to either bond out or deal with it in Cook County, right? And so at the age of 17, immediately they put a gun on me. They locked up two of us. They supposedly found a gun, and they put it on me, right? That was my first charge as an adult now. I went to the audit home though, back early on, if you want to touch on that. But at 17, I'm already arrested for a pistol case. That's my first charge. Second charge was murder. Bonded out on that. Then drugs. They were just throwing whatever at me. In 97, they locked me up for a murder that happened on the day of the Bulls victory. They charged 5 of us on one murder, and I did 17 and a half years for something I didn't do. Here I am now.
And I know we don't want to talk too much about that stuff because there's still stuff going on in the background yes. About that, but it's possible that things will be uncovered that will show that you took a fall for something that you shouldn't have.
Right.
And I'm going to speak on my own behalf now. You don't even have to say anything. You know how they say this a lot in politics. Nobody's above the law. So with the Trump, all this stuff, they want him to go to jail. Nobody's above the law. Well, that's not how the world works. There are people who are above the law. And for instance, if you're the mayor of small town USA and your teenage son gets pulled over in small town USA for speeding, right? And he hands his license over to the cop, and the cop sees, oh, this is the mayor's son. Maybe he gets a free ride because of his relationship in the structure of things, right? Mm-hmm. So that applies everywhere. People are above the law. And one of my dear friends says, goes to jail, the people who don't have the money to defend themselves, and the people who don't go to jail are the ones that have the money to defend themselves, right?
Correct.
So I know from living in Chicago my whole life, we didn't invent corruption here, but we perfected it. And I think a lot of it has to do with Al Capone and the Al Capone days. He pioneered bribing juries and bribing judges and the police. Everybody was on the payroll so he could, run his crime syndicate. Well, same thing happens today. How many of our politicians here go to jail? Our governors go to jail. So there's a political structure in the justice system which does not necessarily drive toward justice. It's a big club. And, listening to your story, in my opinion, you got caught in this club. Everybody knows everybody. And somebody's got to go down. They picked you. Mm-hmm. And, I think in a lot of cases, maybe not yours, but maybe yours, that you get assigned a defender, and the defender is more teammates with the prosecutors, right? And they're just leading you to slaughter, right? So
a lot of times.
So I think that happens. I know that happens a lot, especially here in our justice system in Illinois.
For me, it was different because I had high-profile attorneys representing me. I charged lots of money, man. Very well known in Chicago, very well known, and one of them was involved in corruption himself. Just showed you a little something earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I dealt with that.
And a lot of times those guys that are winning cases, it's because of their relationships.
Of
It's
course.
not even that they're geniuses.
Exactly.
So now you go to prison. Like how did you survive that? How did you get through that? Even knowing, number one, you got to carry this. Was it anger? Like what would you say it was that? Because I'm angry for you. You know what I'm saying?
For a little bit, I had hope, right? Because one of my attorneys, I had two. The one that you read on, I hired him at the very end. It's like going to trial. I'll touch on that later on, but my I would say my this guy, my main attorney, right? He gave me a little hope. Was like, I'm gonna get you home. He just kept saying, I'm gonna get you home. You're gonna sit down for a little bit, but I'm gonna get you home, right? And I believed him. So for some reason I believed that he was gonna get me home. So I was like, okay, there's a little hope here, right? They gave me 35 years to do 17 and a half. There's hope because I believed in this guy. For some reason, every time I sat down with this attorney, and he was my attorney since I was a kid, right? Because I went away to the Audi home for throwing eggs, and he represented me there, right? And every time I used to see this guy, I would get choked up, right? Like, man, dude, I want you to believe me, man. These guys, they're just because for that egg incident that I went to the Audi home for, when he first became my attorney. The charges when we went to court, right? The whole time I'm thinking we went to jail for throwing eggs, right? We didn't know no better. But when we had to go to court, it was an assault, right, with a deadly weapon. These charges that they put on us, and so we went to the Audi home. Me, my brothers, and a group of us. We're going to court, and every one of us that was getting called in front of the judge, their parents would come out without them, and I'm like, Mom, we're about to go to jail right now.
So Audi home, for people out watching the video, is what?
Juvenile center.
So you live there, right? I mean, it's like a jail for young people, right?
For kids. Yeah, me, my brother, and the five of us all five of us that were just throwing eggs, and then when we went in front of the judge, these charges were more than just eggs. They were assault. They were assault with a deadly weapon, if I'm not mistaken. It got to the point where my mom had to hire an attorney, and luckily that the place where she worked at, her boss referred my attorney, and he got us out. And I think we sat down for like 2 weeks, and he got us all out of the jam. But I was like, oh my God! But every time this guy, he stuck around to handle the appeal process for the murder conviction now, right? And I believe that he was going to get me out. Like, no, don't worry about it. We're going to get you out. We're going to get you out. Don't worry about it. You're just going to have to sit down for a little bit, right? But we're going to get you out. Okay, I held on to that. And like shortly right after, I had a girlfriend, and she would call him up all the time. Like, hey, what's going on? What's the update here? It's taking so long. And I'm already like 2 years in, and she's already like, hurry up, get home, right? And being impatient, we went and hired another attorney, just to see what's going on, if this guy's even doing his job. Well, he ended up finding out, and he gave up. Said, you know what, I'm done. And gave over all my stuff to the new attorney. The new attorney was a joke himself, because he was more like a salesman than anything, bashing my attorney, and charged me I think 10 grand, and hey, sorry man, this didn't work. You want to continue to hire me? This is what's gonna cost. And I'm like, oh no. And my mom already just about 100 grand, if I'm not mistaken, for the trial itself. And now another 5 grand or 10 grand that this guy just charged me. And then for him to say, sorry, this didn't work out. You want to try something else? I think there's hope here. More money. I'm like, where are we going to get this money from, you know? And that was that. We just gave it up. And now I got to just hang in there for the next 17 and a half, well, 15.
15, yeah.
Yeah, 15, 14 years.
So you went from hopeful to no hopeful.
Yeah, once my attorney returned everything, I was like, oh my goodness. Well, there goes that. But I dropped the ball when I hired at trial, right? Going back before the appeal process. When I hired the second attorney, my first attorney was upset about that. And he took it very personal to the point where you could tell that he didn't care no more. Because we were ready for trial, and I hired that attorney you just read. I hired him at the end. And the only reason I hired that attorney at the end is because I got myself in. I went to go see a movie. That was the last time I seen the streets until I came home. This is why I was out on bond. And I went to go see a movie. Next thing you know, a big brawl breaks out.
We're in the movie theater.
Inside the movie theater.
That is definitely wrong place or wrong time.
Dude, you know, I was born on Friday the 13th. And I just feel like that was the hand that was dealt to me, man. You're just going to have to deal with this stuff and face it. And I still do, right? I'm just fighting through the fire, man. That's it. But
what happened? Did you get in trouble from the movie theater thing?
Yeah, dude. My goodness, man. This brawl, it turned out ugly. And this was right after we finished watching the movie, right? And something told me I didn't want to go. It's like, no, I'm just going to stay home. And my buddy's like, come on, man. What you scared of, man? Ain't nothing going to happen. I'm like, no, but, you know, we're going different neighborhood to go see this movie and just never know exactly what happened. And it was me, my two brothers, their girlfriends, and two more other buddies. And I swear, we just went in there just to watch this movie, to just relax and get away from the area. And somebody recognized somebody, and that was that. Next thing you know, there's a big brawl in the hallway. People are throwing those big old things that hold the lines. And I got whacked with one of them, right? I was out. I was like literally out. I wake up on the floor like, what just happened to me, man? And, well, I went, picked up, some people wanted to be flinging things in this theater. I went and picked up a stool and I whacked a cop.
Oh, boy.
I whacked the cop, not realizing he was a cop. You know, he was wailing on my little brother. You know, he was on top of my brother. And, you know, this big brawl. I just got knocked out. You know, I'm seeing, you know, birds. And, by the time I noticed he was a cop, he was already telling me, hey, man, I'm a cop. And that chair was coming out with nothing but G-force, you know, and I broke his hand. They immediately pinned me against the wall. And that same cop with that broken hand, oh, man, he gave me a few good ones right in my face. Didn't care. Tossed me to the ground. I was out. And out of everybody there, that was, you know, that just was rioting inside that theater, it was just me and my brothers that got arrested. Yeah. I go to the police station, and
this is right before you're going to trial.
Right before I'm going to trial, dude. And that's not looking good at all. So I have a pistol case ready. I have a murder case. I had some other stuff that they pinned on me in Cicero, Illinois as well. And then I had that assault peace officer. And, he was a off-duty officer working as a security at the theater. And that was that. I'm now at the police station. I'm terrified, trying to reach out to my attorney, like, dude, get me out of this jam, right? He's not answering his call. Somebody referred that attorney that I showed you, and he comes to the police station. Hey, man, I know all about your case and this and that, and okay. Yeah, I can help you with that. Well, I need you to help me with this right now. Give me yeah, I'll see what I can do, man. But I know all about that other case. And, if you need help with that, I can help you. All right. I'm in a position where I'm like, I need help. I need help bad. So I hired him on. My my you know, my main attorney on my case, he took that very personal. Took that very personal. And I don't know what he knew about him then. I thought he was just upset that how are you gonna hire somebody when I'm ready for trial, right? I didn't understand that back then.
Mm.
I didn't understand somebody stepping on somebody's toes or taking the credit or anything like that back then. I was just get me home. I don't care what it is. I'm thinking, maybe I need like 10 lawyers, right? Just make sure you win my case, man. That way I could, get out of here and live a normal life,
Mhm.
right? But yeah, he took it personal and he lost kind of interest here. Kind of lost, the drive of wanting to help me. I felt it. I felt it when we went to trial. It's just like whatever. They came, and the day of trial, they came with, "Hey, come on, man. We could get you a good deal. There's people here that are going to testify against you. Blah blah blah." And no, that's not what you mentioned at the police station. This attorney B. Um, and I went to trial. I'm not trying to hear that. We're going to trial. They tried different strategies here that I think messed me up a lot to the point where it's like, my goodness, how am I going to get out of this mess now? Um, so yeah, that was that. But I sat down for 17 and a half years, came home, stayed out with my mom for a little bit, started working immediately, um, got me a little place in Hanover Park. I was able to save up a little money.
You want to talk a little bit about life in prison and how you survived that, and how did you survive that? How did you keep your sanity and preserve your own life, and etc.?
Well, my grandma, they stuck around. My mom, oh my God, I owe her the world. My mom's been my rock, you know. There was other people that played a big part there to keep my sanity, you know. But there was, for the most part, many abandoned me. Man, many abandoned me, except for the people that were telling me, "Hey, man, those people you're hanging around with, they're not your friends, man."
So when you were in prison, you touched on you met some pretty good people in there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I met lots. All of them are my friends. I consider, right, because I got to the point where, okay, now I know I could kind of read a person's behavior, because in jail, you develop that sense, right, where you have to read somebody and their intentions and stuff like that. So later on, after like 4 years in prison, that's when I was like, you know what, I gotta start taking things serious, right? Start going to school, got my GED in there, started taking vocational trades. We'll start working. I started doing a lot of stuff in there, learning little different jobs and stuff like that.
Was it like the movies where you have to pledge your allegiance to one of the groups there just so you're,
Oh
or can
yeah,
you stay on your own and be okay?
yeah. You could stand on your own, but are you going to be okay? It's uncertain. There was a little structure with the gangs in the beginning. I was in the phase of the administration taking over the prisons, um, over a tape that was leaked out, retrospect, and they were doing their best to clean the prisons, where they were taking big heavy hitters, guys, big gang chiefs for almost all the gangs, and sending them to different states, sending them to this prison that they opened up, and they were like locked down. They were, you don't come out, kind of where Chapo's at right now.
Because part of the reason was they could still
Influence.
run stuff outside of the prison, right?
Influence, yeah. They were a big influence in the prisons and outside. When that tables leaked out, it just made the state look really, really, really bad. And so they decided to do many, many changes. Um, is it working? I doubt it,
Yeah,
because things are looking worse than ever now.
I'm with you.
These are worse than ever now. It doesn't matter how much time they're throwing at you now. Compared to when I first got locked up, now they're handing out 100% time. So all those deaths that these kids are doing there, they have to do 100% time. They give you 35, you're gonna do 35. Back then, when I was arrested, 50%. So I got to do 17 and a half of 35 years.
Mm-hmm. You had to pledge allegiance to a certain group just to stay for survival. And then some of these people that you met that you would say they're good friends, were these people that were no angels like you weren't an angel, but like the system pushed them too far? Or did they were no angels and they actually did something really bad that they regretted?
Yes.
And then did you have any friends that were just bad guys and they were okay being bad guys?
Yeah. We never looked at each other like to be saints in there, regardless of if you were locked up for this or not. You were a banger.
Yeah.
So you were not doing good things out there. But yeah, a lot of guys were, they did their crimes and they just changed their lives. The prison that you land, 'cause there's some prisons that they have wonderful programs. And the prison I was in, they had U of I involved. So that was big. U of I did a lot of things with this prison, a lot of programs, and they're still involved with these guys, which is awesome. But a lot of programs were taken away from prisons because of the money budget, and a lot of these kids nowadays, they're not even forced to go to school or anything like that. If you don't want to go to school, that's fine. Opposed to when I first got locked up, you take this test, and if you're under this score, then you have to go to school by law.
You were in an Astro van in that chase, and then you woke up basically through the windshield. You went from the middle seat of a van all the way forward, and like how did you survive that? Did you think that was divine?
That was God.
Yeah,
that was God, man. So my aunt, right, the only Christian in our family at that time that I know, and I don't think I know any other Christian in my family beside my aunt, right? But I was her favorite nephew, and geez, I love my aunt. My goodness, she's not around no more. But yeah, she immediately came over. It's like, hey, I gotta pray for you, man. Something ain't right, Something's telling me to come out there to pray for you. So she came out there, checked me out. I'm all stitched up.
So she didn't know anything happened, or
no? She knew about the incident, but she was like, I just gotta go check you out. I gotta pray for you, right? She came over and she prayed over me. She had my cousins around her, right? And they're praying over me, and my aunt, the Holy Spirit took over her and was talking to me, and I was like, "What?" And told me that I'm the one that saved you from that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I know you feel me right now because I just know, and but the moment the Spirit said that, my goodness, I had none but chills. Wow. And my tears were just coming down. I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm a teenager, right? And I'm just like, come on, aunt, But she got on me and started praying, and next thing you know, she's speaking in tongues, and that Holy Spirit touched me, man. I felt it. Yeah, it spoke to me.
That's real. That's real stuff, man.
Yeah, it spoke to me a few times, and especially in dark moments where people were trying to do harm, and that Spirit will tell me, "Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to you. I got you. This is what you're going through," and it was telling the truth. I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, it was God. God saved me from a lot of things, even through what I went through. I'm in prison. So
What do you think would have happened if that incident didn't happen and you went to prison? Would you have kept on with the
yeah, I would
life?
have kept on. Yeah, I probably would have got killed. I would walk out of my house with butterflies in my stomach, thinking it was my last day. That's how I walked out of my house every single day. They shot at my house. Everybody knew where I lived at. Nobody ever wanted to listen when I used to tell the guys, "Come on, man, get out of here, man." But everybody just loved coming to my house. Everybody loved my mom. They loved us. They loved being around us. And so, regardless of how much I used to tell everybody, just get away from here. That's where everybody met up at.
That's a prime spot for a drive-by, right?
Yeah,
You got
and,
all-
and it happened. My guy had a cousin of mine. He got shot in front of my house. I've had drive-bys. People surround my house. That place was, oof. Yeah, but I felt death coming. Something bad, you know. And yeah, I believe that I was um I was meant to be for me to sit down for a while. Because it felt when I bonded out, I'm not gonna lie, right? I just thought I was like, oh, I bonded out for something, a murder, $100,000 because it was 10,000. It was $1 million D bond, which is 10% of.
Right.
And my mom, thankfully,
You don't get that money back then either, right?
yeah, you get it back, right? But my mom signed it off to the attorneys to pay for what happened. I mean, for what they did. But yeah, you get it back, and depending on if you get yourself in more trouble, that you could get that taken away completely. But yeah, my head did get big for a little moment, right?
When you were bonded out?
When I bonded out. When I bonded out on my case, I think I got myself more into trouble. Regardless, okay, so when I first got out, I was terrified, right? Like, oh my God, man, I'm praying to God every single day, like, get me out of here. My mom comes and get me.
What's the time frame between getting bonded out and then going to trial? How much time was that?
18 months, maybe.
Oh, wow, that long.
Yeah, 18 to 20 months. My case, I got to fight it for almost 2 years, maybe 2 years. I got locked up in 97 and, 97 of June. And then I went away 99 in August or something like that. And 6 months I stayed until my mom was able to get the 100,000 to buy me out. And she came and got me, like, I think a day before Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. So that was huge. I got home.
So you were in jail for 6 months, then she bonded you out.
And then she bonded me out. And you don't know, dude, I was praying every single day, please, God. I was making my changes there, like, that's it. And my mom came and got me, right? And I really wanted to make that change. I was so terrified, right, of what happened. I stayed with my girlfriend for a little bit out in Berwyn to try to stay away from the area. But things weren't working out for us. We're young teens living together. And yeah, it wasn't working out too well, to where I kept going back home and seeing the stuff around my house, the stuff that was going on around my area, to the point where now I'm hearing the news every day. Hey, these guys came around. Hey, these guys over here messing with us. Hey, these guys. And I didn't want those problems, right? I was trying to do my best to stay away. I don't care. I don't care who's fighting with who, whatnot. I'm fighting something serious, right? So I need to focus on this. I don't want to focus on the streets. And I remember one time where a good friend of mine, but he was on the other side, right, with the rival gangs. He came by over my house one time, and we had a baby shower for my brother. And these guys were like, "Hey, you got these guys in front of the house. They're starting some stuff." And my brothers at that time, all my brothers and my family members, they were not involved until I went away. They all decided I'll get into gangs and get involved later on, backwards. But that moment right there got me involved again. because I'm like, dude, what are you guys doing? You guys know I'm fighting a case, and I don't want no drama. And a friend of mine that I'd known before we got involved in gangs was like, I don't care. Are your family members all in gangs? Because if they are, man, that's a problem. I'm like, oh my God. And that was that. It got me back to that. You know what? Let's play these games. You guys want to play these games? And so I got involved again because I felt disrespected by it. You know, I'm trying to do my best to stay away and not wanting any drama, but at the same time, I care about my family. I don't want them to be terrorized or anything like that. So back in the streets again, to the point where them guys kind of laid off from what they were doing in front of my house, you know, and terrorizing my family. Because at that time there was war, you know, there was friction there, and it got to the point where things slowed down, and that was that. But now I'm full fledged back in, you know, with the life, because that life is addicting. That life is so addicting, and it's crazy. It's like a drug, right? Because you get sucked in, and it's hard to get right back out of it, you know. And if you live in the area, that's all you see. You're a product of your environment, plain and simple. And if you don't have nobody that can try to get you out of the game or any type of support,
does it ever wind up good? You stay in the gang for a long time, and then you make a shit ton of money, and then you retire out of the gang. Does it ever end good?
nah, I've never came across a successful gangbanger or a drug dealer. Never. I was talking to one of my buddies about that. And I don't care who you are, how slick you are. Nah, you're not gonna be successful unless you're working with the other side, right? With the good guys,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing things that will make you there. You're maybe working with them, plain and simple. But for the guys that don't play those games, there's no success there.
It's so interesting that the addictive part of it, because even in the movies like Goodfellas, that's a movie more about the Italian mafia, and he says it at the end of the movie. He goes into the witness protection program, and he says, "I miss the life." You get addicted to the life, right?
You do. The money, the girls like that stuff too. They like a little bad boy, and
That's
the
so funny.
parties.
They say women say we're all the good guys, nice guys, but they're attracted to the bad boys,
They
right?
are. They are. They are. It's crazy, but it's the truth. I guess that's why you're just addicted to it. Just no rules. A lot of these kids, they don't have their parents in their lives. They're being raised by somebody else, maybe, and so they consider them family. Family. That's all they know.
I mean, you got backup, right? I mean, you get in a bind or something, you call your boys.
Yeah.
You have 10 guys there, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that is true. Guns, whatever. Hey man, let me get this. These guys were messing with me. That type of stuff.
Yeah, it's a just an endless cycle.
Endless,
So,
endless. For what reason? A lot of these wars used to just kick off over somebody disrespected my girlfriend. Girlfriend was cheating on me with that guy from that other gang. This guy said something. He looked at me funny. Guys are killing themselves, man, not realizing that they're putting everybody's lives over because somebody looked at you funny. It was crazy. I never understood that until I went to prison, and I remember the elders there would talk to us and like, okay, for the guys that are coming in and don't know no better, whatever they want to fight over a little snack or playing basketball in the prison yard or whatever, and bad foul, and next thing you know, there's a riot. You're gonna cause possibly lives over a game of basketball. Now, and I remember an elder, I forgot his name, and he told us at the end of the day, yeah, when things kick off and there's a riot and everybody's all fighting, people getting stabbed up. When we come to find out why we did all this, that person's gonna pay the price that kicked off this fight, and they will get with you. A lot of times they will just have to walk themselves to protective custody because they just cost their lives. People went to the hole for depending, man. Sometimes they'll give you like up to a year in prison for stuff like that, gang activity. These guys are putting their lives, they're jeopardizing their little comfortable stay over idiots, kids that will come in and act a fool and no respect, no boundaries.
In their respect, I always say this, and I was taught this by my godmother. Respect to me is more important than love, because you can inherit love. You're born, your parents love you. You love your parents, but respect has to be earned.
Correct.
And on the street, it's a very fine line, right? You can make one little misstep, and if that's interpreted as disrespect, all hell can break loose, right?
Correct.
Like a bad foul on a basketball court, right?
Yeah.
You take it as disrespect, then we got a problem.
We got a problem. Yeah. And, people lose their lives over something very stupid, man.
I know one of your missions is to tell your story so you can influence young men in particular, not to choose the street gangs, right?
Correct. So I come home and I start working, and I got to learn a lot of things to the point where I started my own company, right? Still work with the company that I worked for as an independent contractor. I appreciate that company. Infinity Property Services, Josh, love you, man. But they gave me an opportunity to work for them, moved up with them. I went through a little moment in my life where, bad relationship. I had thoughts of moving out to Puerto Rico because I was vacationing out to Puerto Rico. And I was like, man, maybe I want to stay out here, because I'm noticing all the changes that they're doing here. I don't have a great relationship with my family since I've been home. I want to, right? But there's so much division.
Do we want to talk about a little bit about how society holds it against you that you did time? How you're almost automatically guilty, or you're looked down upon, or you're not given an opportunity. That does happen, right?
Yes, that does happen. My background is always going to be an issue. I feel like a liability because of my background.
Yeah, and we don't want to talk too much about this because there's still stuff going on. But basically, from what you told me, stuff happened at the nightclub, and we got resolved. However, it went to court, and then all of a sudden now we have a civil thing happening, and it's just because they looked into your past, and now they want to make some money because you have a record, right?
Exactly.
So, so we don't have to go into that, but I think the key component of the story is that you told me this when I first met you. Like it's a struggle. Like you want to build business, you want to make money, you want to, you know what I mean? You're done with all that other BS.
Yeah.
And the system it's really slanted against you.
And the crime rate doesn't make it any better because people are just losing hope now. I didn't go away for something minor. I went away for something very serious, right? To the point where people are like, don't even want to take chances. I want to take chances, man. Even working for myself, figure, hey, who's going to do a background check on myself, right? Nowadays, people could just pick up their phones, look you up, and that's that. My picture's probably going to pop up, if there's one out there. I looked one up before, and numerous pictures came up, but I think I'm down to just seeing one picture now. I don't know if they just clean these things out from time to time. But everything's public, and I'm always conscious of that. And like I said, now they're just popping up at my house with this registry, murder registry, right? I can have people in my house. I can't even have people in my house. I feel uncomfortable having people in my house to even do something like this because they could just pop up in my door.
Right.
Anytime they feel like it. And I already finished my time because they started doing this after it started popping up at my house like already 2 years after I completed my parole. So now I'm dealing with the state police and the police station. Now they're the ones in charge of that part. And it sucks, dude.
Yeah.
It sucks. They popping up in my house, knocking, like if they're about to do a raid, you know? And it's so discouraging, man. Very discouraging. It always, when that type of stuff happens, my mind just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, why? Why they want to make it so difficult here, you know? Why can't I just complete the sentence and that's it, you know, just behave and don't get in trouble and you'll be fine. No,
Right.
it's a constant reminder. It's like you're forever branded.
The current of your life you're going to have to swim against is going to be there for a long time, you know. There's a couple things to go along with what you're saying. You know, I'm a realtor, and sometimes I help people rent their places out. And part of the process is background check. Yeah. And what am I going to tell somebody that I'm renting the place and you're the applicant, right? Mm-hmm. And I run your background and I'd be like, no, this guy's no good, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's me. I'm fair, and I would be afraid. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember I had a listing in this neighborhood and got a buyer, and the buyers went on the sex offender registry, and they found out that 2 houses away was a registered sex offender. So when I checked it out, and the story was that the guy, he was in his late 30s now. When he was 17, he was having sex with a 15-year-old girl. Now he's a sex offender. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's on the cusp of being okay to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and he's got carried it the rest of his life. Yeah. And those people didn't buy the house. They actually, so they pulled out of the deal. Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. These registries are causing so much attention that they're probably going to just eliminate all of them. And those are the talks right now, to be honest. Eliminating even the sex offenders. But I don't want to touch on that because that's it goes deep, right? Because sex offenders, I'm not gonna say they all have mental problems because of the situation you just said right now, right? Those things.
Yeah, but if it's a legitimate sex offender, that's a problem.
That's a real problem. Yeah, and I don't think they're mentally right. You know, and it's like, all right, so if they're gonna just clear out these registrations, then we're back to this again. You know, you never know who you have as a neighbor.
Right.
For real. It's kind of scary.
You have some pending litigation, which you told me is, it adds your level of stress, but putting that aside, what are some of your missions? What are your goals and dreams? What do you want to be doing moving forward with your life?
I like to work with my hands, right? And what I'm noticing out here with the youth, these kids are all gamers, right? And nobody knows, like the kids don't know how to fix things anymore, right? I grew up, I was one of those that I prefer tools than toys. They were so cool to me, you know? All the toys that I used to have, I will break down just to figure out how this works, you know? And I know there's a lot of us that love playing with tools. And I think these kids need to start going back to things like the hands-on. And I started JFix Property Solutions in hopes that, well, one, to make sure I pay the bills, right? And try to make some money. But two, trying to involve, you know, the youth, like my nephews, all of them. I would love, I've had a few of them come out and work with me.
I agree with you. We have a shortage of tradesmen too. You know, electricians, plumbers, because nobody's going to trade school anymore. I think these video games, I'm not a fan of the video games. So I think they've disabled our youth. And big argument with me and my wife through the years. You know, I have 3 boys, and I didn't want the video games in the house. And she's like, why? I go, because for especially a male mind, they're addicting. And I go, the only reason why I'm not a video game addict is because when video games that I were playing, I'd put a quarter in the machine and I ran out of quarters, thank God. But if I had a video game system in my house, I'd still be playing video games. Mm-hmm. And I'm 60 years old. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the games are so complex now and so realistic. And I think that's a bad trend in our society. You had mentioned to me also in many of our conversations about wanting to help the guys who get out that have done their time. maybe a format like this will be in your future? You're thinking about that, right?
Yeah, yeah. So JFix Property Solutions, I tapped into content creating because I figured, okay, if I'm gonna market myself, I need to do something here, right? Either hire somebody to do some marketing for me or learning it myself. And I don't have the budget for that. I started playing with it. Now, early on, when I first came home, I had a business that I started to help um, connect families, keep families connected with people that are incarcerated, right? So I had like a third party um, mail service thing that where I'll send out a pamphlet of what I'm selling. It could be like a teddy bear, some little jewelry, or something, where you could send it out to a loved one on your behalf, right? So let's say you're a prisoner, and I send you my pamphlet. You decide, hey man, I like this gift. I want to send it out to my kids. You pay for it, and I will send it out to your loved ones on your behalf. And now I know the importance of that because when I used to send out something to a loved one, it was joy. They loved it, and it keeps people connected still. When you're giving back. You're giving back to those that are coming out their way to come visit you.
That's awesome.
3-4 hours, and then your kids for the holidays. You're keeping them connected. At least they're like, hey, it's from dad or mom or whatever. And so I started when doing that business, I started learning a little graphic designing with the little laptop, and I designed everything myself, right? For the company I had. Unfortunately, with the company I had, there was a lot of changes in IDOC where some states won't allow mail coming in. So they were turning my stuff back, and then there was other things that I had to work on with the shipping. A lot of stuff that I had to work on, right? But I got to learn how to do graphic design. So I was like, you know what? With JFix Property Solutions, I'm just gonna have to, start learning more stuff so that way I can market myself. And just playing around a little bit, right? Because I'm trying to figure out, okay, for JFix Property Solutions, I know a lot of things in construction. But what is it that I really want to do in construction, right? Do I want to continue to do big build outs and building offices and stuff like that? I would love to, but nowadays it's hard to find good help.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of our problems. There was a lot of turnovers where I worked at, and I normally had to train a lot of these guys, and then a lot of them won't fit. And so back to square one again. And
what do you think about the general work ethic of our people?
Oh yeah, they're lazy, man. They're lazy.
My son's a manager in a big retail store.
Okay.
And he's young. He's 30 years old. And he's like, these guys, it takes them a half an hour to walk from the door when they walk in to get to the time. They just got the strut going. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
When my first real job was McDonald's, and I was at McDonald's for about 6 years, and I went from a Berwyn McDonald's to because when I moved out of Humboldt Park, I went to Berwyn.
Okay. I lived there.
I know you mentioned that. I went to Morton West High School and everything there. When I became a McDonald's manager, I got transferred to River Forest. Now, River Forest is huge homes, very wealthy, and many of the mobsters live there. So I went from a lower middle class, Berwyn store to a store in River Forest where it was upper class. So the kids working at the store were completely different from location to location. We were all, lower middle class, hardworking kids.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody even told us to go get a job because we knew if we wanted stuff, we had to make our money to go get stuff because no one's going to buy us gym shoes and stuff like that. And then when I moved to River Forest, and even in that 5-year period in the 80s, those wealthier kids, they only got jobs because their parents said, go get a job so you see how it is to be in the work world.
Mm-hmm.
It was brutal. I mean, it was brutal to get them to really hustle and work. And then I noticed through the years, the work ethic of the young people overall, it got worse and worse. I mean, it's really bad now. And everybody complains about it. And I wonder how much of it is, social media and video games, the stuff that we didn't have when we were kids. Working hard to me was fun. When the store was busy, lots of traffic, like on a Saturday, your day flies by.
Mm-hmm.
You feel good when you're done. Man, we were busy today. We kicked ass.
Right.
I don't understand the, lollygagging around, and it doesn't even make any sense to me, right?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense at all. Well, the media plays a big part with this, I guess, because they're always they're always touching on job descriptions and know your rights, and which I get, right? We need to know our rights, right? But some people just feel like, I remember there was an incident that happened at my job, and there goes the boss, and he just said, "Hey, man, we need to do this and that." And the guy's like, "I'm not doing that again." What do you mean? Yeah, I'm not doing that again. That's not my job description. Like, oh wow. So I would have done it regardless, right? If you're a good boss, and why would I come at a good boss like that, right? That's not part of my job description. Some people I get that they have to flex like that, but some people I'm like, come on, dude. If you got a good boss, why throw that out there? That place where that comes from knowing your rights, I guess. I don't know.
We did. I mean, I'm a lot older than you. I'm 13 years older than you. We didn't have any HR people. There was no such thing as HR.
Right.
I mean, everybody's so touchy now. You know what I mean? So emotional. So, and then the corporate world in itself is difficult. You probably know this because you work in buildings, you manage buildings where there's corporations. But I've been more on my own, self-employed my whole life. So I was a broker on the trading floor, just my own person. And then I took a job in a little company of 45 people. So here we are in this office building, and everybody was gossiping and backstabbing everybody. I couldn't understand it. I'm like, is this normal? Because where I came from, my little troop of guys, like, we were loyal, but we had each other's backs. And my wife told me, she goes, no, this is the corporate world. They just backstab and they talk bad about people. And I'm like, man, I wasn't used to that. So I can't work in that environment. So
no, me neither. Oh my goodness, that drains you.
Yeah.
That drains you. Yeah. So there's a lot of that stuff too, man. Nobody wants to be a part of, And you got them employees that some of them think they're high and mighty. They want to be around those type of people, man. It's hard. It's hard, dude.
And those people become managers too, and then it's even worse.
About it. Yeah. Forget about it.
So I want to get back to you. So I've seen some of your the graphic arts and stuff that you do online. Is pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
maybe we can weave in a little. You can do a little intro for my Warrior podcast. We'll figure something out. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention? Any call outs to your family members? Do you want to give kudos to some friends that help you through your stuff? Now's the time to do it. So,
well, I mean, kudos to everybody that's been supportive throughout my journey out here. I appreciate you too, Franklin. You're awesome, man. And JJ, shout out to JJ.
Yeah, JJ's the man.
Yeah, man. I remember reaching out to him and we connected then, and here we are now.
Yeah.
Now we're meeting new people.
Yeah, this stuff doesn't happen by accident. This is energy pulls us together.
Yeah, I love it. Again, this is all new to me.
Yeah.
Podcasting wasn't in the future for me, right? And is it going to be in the future for me? I don't know. I want it to be something where I want a studio. That's for sure. I want a nice setup like how you guys have it, right? To do group sessions. When I did a pilot at JJ's spot, it felt good, man. Being around the guys, and we were laughing, joking, talking about certain situations that we were in, and we touched on other things too, on real life things, that the struggles that some of the guys go through as well, right? Because I'm not the only one. There's so many people dealing with a lot of common things that we all go through, right? So I wanted this to be a platform where we could sit down and vent a little bit, right? Talk about these type of things. That way, because when I go through it, it feels like my family look at me like, oh, this guy's a lost cause. Jill messed them up, and I'm just being logic. A lot of things that I point out to my family, right? I sit down and think about it for a second. Let's be logic here, but people they don't understand logic. It's like, oh my God. And they look at you like you're crazy.
We've lost logic in our society. So.
Yeah. And so a lot of us that are home now, they're dealing with these challenges. They touch on that. And, I guess maybe we have to voice these things to the world, right? Because there's some that come home back to their wives and kids. Their kids are being rebels. Their wives are being difficult, nobody is on the same page. So much division. Think about it, man. Some guys 20, 30 years coming out back to society, back to your family, and people are just looking at you real funny.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean,
yeah.
I just tried to put myself, I told you, like if I did a background check and you were the applicant, I'd tell my client, I'm scared here, right?
Yeah.
But when I get to know you, there's no problem.
Right.
I mean, you're not only going to be a perfect tenant, you're going to take care of the place too.
Right. Correct. Yeah, the J Fix show is coming. Oh, it's coming, but the J Fix show is going to be for a lot of things because I want to teach people what I've learned. I got to buy a home when I came home. That's an experience and a process itself, right? For a guy like me to get something like that, right? On how to build credit to get there, the experience of it. I learned the hard way. And luckily I had help here and there, but there was a lot of things that I had to learn on my own. I bought my house literally. And for that reason, right? Because I knew it was going to be hard for me to find an apartment. And I didn't want to go through that. And one of the tenants, they were mortgage brokers, right? And hey, Ulises, you ever thought about buying a house? Nope, never thought of it. Just renting out of family's house because, whatever, right? It's portable. And you want to buy? Me, only been out not even 2 years. I'm like, yeah, I would love to buy a house, but right now the house is not there for me yet, right? Well, why don't you try? Why don't you apply for a loan and see if it goes through? All right, sure. I applied for it. Got approved, right? Now I was being disciplined when I came home with my finances. And I was sticking to that, So there's a lot I got to build now. And they got the loan approved. Now this is for real now, right? I'm like, oh man, now, hey, go find your home. So I went around looking for a home to fit me, right? I don't want something big, They approved me for like 300 and something grand, right? But my budget was calling for like something 150 tops, right? So I'm like, you know what, man, I'm going to stick to something small. And so I found me something at like close to 130. It's funny, right? Because that's when tenants found out about me at that company. After I got my house, they believed in me, right? They kept it quiet, because of my character, and so they got me approved. I got my house. Later on, Ulises, yeah, how you feeling, man? As a new homeowner, man, I feel amazing, right? I got my keys, but they don't know this. I'm thinking that they don't know about my past, right? And I'm like, man, it's just amazing. I'm getting the keys a day before I completed 2 years out. Not too many people could say that.
That's
right?
awesome.
Yeah. And that was all through work, no cosign, no nothing. It's just me working my butt off, me building credit, just all right. And these people's helping me through the process because they helped me. And the guy's like, yeah, man, so tell me, man, Ulises, where you grew up at? And I always try to keep things very, very small, right? I don't want to talk too much because I don't want people to start picking up their phone. Let me see Ulises here. That was always my fear, right? Working at these buildings too, dealing with professional people,
Right.
right? And so uh, the guy's like, oh, so I'm being very short with my answers, right? Oh, I grew up in Chicago. Yeah. What part of Chicago? Uh, Northwest side, you know. We're at Northwest side. I'm like, oh my goodness, right? I'm keeping,
It's like a police
yeah.
questioning
And
you.
so I'm like, yeah. And I'm kind of like trying to change, subject. He's like, Ulysses, we know. I'm like, what you know, man? He's like, no, but it's all right, right? He's like, we know. Just know that you've been straight with us. You've been straight with us, and we like how you work, and we don't care what you were locked up for. You're an amazing guy.
That's badass.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm terrified, like, oh my God, these people know, and I don't want other people to know around here because I don't want nobody to be terrified of me, right? Because this place is filled with all type of people, professional people, and I have the keys to every office there. And can you imagine anybody knowing my background? And it's like there's some people that are not going to be okay, regardless of how much they know of you, or whatever, or if they've been around you. And they were like, "But don't worry about it, we got you." And they never said anything. And then later on, my attorney, I had to come clean, and a building attorney, and I shared my stuff with him. I know that was a shocker there for him too, and a few others. But other than that, yeah. It was an experience, man. It still is.
Well, brother, I'll say this. I'm grateful that you shared your story with me. And as a fellow human being, I'm going to say this to you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you,
You've
man.
been through hell, seriously hell. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine going to prison for something you didn't do. That in itself, I don't even know if I could sort that out in my head. I would be so freaking angry. You know what I mean? And you made the best of it. And I think you're right. It might have saved your life too.
It did.
So
and I don't care. I don't care to clear my name ever. Every time I try to tap into that world, right, it takes me to a dark moment, right? Because it's like, can my name ever be cleared here? You know, I have both sides that were they did me so wrong, right?
right.
That I'm like, I don't think I've ever had my name cleared, but I don't care. I don't even want to tell my story. Sometimes I feel like I don't even want to tell my story because, I'm getting sorry.
I'd like your mission though with having a forum like this where the guys can come on and tell their stories and stuff. That's going to be real helpful. So, and the longer you live your life, the more the stuff will be in the rearview mirror. People will always be able to look up shit that you did, but it won't matter so much anymore. You're building your legacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right, brother. I told you every time we have a talk, you get me teary-eyed too. This is your time. You paid your dues. You paid more than your dues. This is your time, man. You're going to do.
I'm doing my best to. Because, man, Frank. Sorry.
It's all right. We get to this point on almost every podcast I do. You get to the tears. It's good. It's real. You know what I mean?
It's never ending, though. The stuff that I'm dealing with, I could go on and on and on, dude. It could.
I bet.
Woof. But
you're a warrior, brother.
I want to build. I feel like I'm not going to use my platform to air out dirty laundry and share things, the bad experience that I deal with. I will share things, right? Just these kids could wake up and smell the coffee, right? And stop destroying this planet because that's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're wiping out generations just like that. Just like that. They don't even know why.
Mm-hmm.
I got baby nephews, like my nephew niece. I shared a little bit with you. And I care about them. Oh, and I know the difference here. I got some great nephews. So us living in Chicago, right? And seeing my nephews grow. I'm sorry, seeing my nephews grow in where they live at, where they grew up at, and because when I went away, that's when my mom was like, when I got arrested, that's when my mom's like, all right, it's time for us to go. It was too late already, right? I was like, because I swear, hey mom, please, man, get us out of here, man. I can't even hang out and she used to be like, what do you think I could do? I could just sell the house and just leave? Yes, please, please, let's just do it, right? Who cares? But her job, right? She wasn't going to find something like that in anywhere else. She had a great job. And so I understood that. But look, she lost me for 20 years. My little brother, she just lost my little brother 4 years ago. And I didn't get to be around my brother's lives, for all those years. And he was in bad shape as well, right?
What happened to your brother?
Well, he had a heart attack, right? But dealing with his struggles, he wasn't taking care of himself, his health and stuff like that. She lost him. It's like, woman, and she's in bad shape. She's got all type of, health issues, and she's already at that age. And that woman suffered a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That woman suffered a lot. But I know the difference here, right? I see the difference. When you're away from that environment, you become different people, and we need to just support each other, inspire each other, man. I think we need more of that. And I learned so much on content creating that I'm just gonna flood the internet, man, and try to grasp those kids' attention, because the attention span on those kids, oh my God. I sit down with my little nephews and they can't sit down to watch a movie. I'm like that now because I don't have a choice, right? I gotta move. I gotta survive out here, right? I got bills, I got things I gotta do. But for those kids to they can't. The attention span. So content creating, I'm gonna create it in a way where I'm gonna try my best to catch your attention and share a little bit of my experience. That way you could be like, okay, what's going on here? All right, and maybe there's a lot of people supporting me, and they want to be a part of this as well. Guys that have been in my shoes, and they want to do the same thing, and I need that, more of that. The more, the better. Let's go. And for all you guys out there, man, whoever wants to jump on board, man, bring it.
Awesome.
If you're gonna bring something positive, and let's do it. Let's put our heads together, because I don't have everything planned out like that. I'm just freestyling. I'm day by day, But hopefully we could come up with something to the point where people could stop destroying this world, man. And well, share the truth, that lifestyle it's fake. It's fake. Plain and simple, man. Stick to your family and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
I love it, brother. That's the perfect way to finish.
I hope I did a good job here, man, trying to explain this.
Yeah, my friend, great honor. I'm going to be collaborating with you in whatever way I can.
Thank you.
My mission is to make the world a better place too. We're in different neighborhoods. You know what I mean? So you came from one type of life situation. I'm just trying to get people to tell their stories in the hopes that their stories help others, which I'm sure yours will. You're going to kill it, dude. You're going to kill it. So
if I can impact one person, that was it.
Yeah,
that'll be okay for me, man. Everything I'm doing it, I'm fronting it with my own cash. That way nobody says hey, this is all me, and this is for you guys.
Yeah. I love it.
Let's do something right with this. Let's help each other out. Let's inspire each other and raise our kids right, because there's a lot of guys coming home already having babies and
yeah.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, this thought just came to me is these men who go serve time and stuff like that. There's nothing I can think of that will adjust your attitude more than that. Talking about living and learning, you come out if you do it right. You come out like you have a lot to teach. Maybe this is the time where you get this collaboration together.
Yes,
so
I got
awesome.
a lot of guys, and I promise you guys, man, I want to introduce you to these guys. I want to introduce the world to the people that I came across. Even the guards in prison. I got some of them. Well, they're retired now, right? But I built great relationships throughout, even in prison, with the staff. Shoot, I was pretty much considered a trustee, right, at the prison I was at. But it's just the way I carry myself. I know my boundaries. I know I'm not crazy to think anything different. I know what it is. But yeah, dude, I'm here to continue to build great relationships with people like you and many others, man. And stay away from that lifestyle, and make sure that these kids, man, stay away from that lifestyle too. That lifestyle will suck you in, man.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah. My friend, let me shake your hand.
All right.
Ulises, thank you for coming on. I want to do a special shout out to JJ, Friday Night Check-In. You brought us together, and Tony Torres. You guys are awesome.
Tony, what's up, man?
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Warrior Podcast. Remember, there's a warrior inside us all. We'll see you at our next podcast, everyone.
Yeah, holla at your boy, man.